Alright, today we're having a look at Winter Platformer with Oddsok by Tatiana090976. Alright, so here we are in Winter Platformer with Oddsok by Tatiana090976. It doesn't have Oddsok so far, but they did mention on the title page that there would be some sack thing action going on. I know it's not winter time, but frankly, I'm well done with the heat of summer. It's been hot, like completely hot all the time. I melt, I split open and melt. And I thought, maybe something that was a little bit cooler, a little bit more chill. That would be kind of cool. I mean, the second cool wasn't a pun. The first cool was supposed to be a pun. And it's, it's okay. It's not great. There's not a really good pace on the level, it feels like so far. But maybe that will pick up once we get to Oddsok. There's also not an awful lot of actual, environmental design, which is a bit of a problem. I did miss, but I didn't miss. I was gonna leave that behind, but it just worked out that I got it. Oh, crumbs! My fault, my fault, my fault. Weird. I feel very fluid, but it might just be that we haven't played a lot of Oddsok recently. Oh, that's actually kind of a neat hazard, and I almost wish they had more of that. This is gonna suck. Ooh, you're gonna put me back here, eh? Oh, you're gonna put me back here, eh? Wait. ちょっと待って。なんでそりゃ。That was weird. I don't imagine they intended that. I'm gonna skip all this. How about that? And that was the correct answer because we're here. We're done. And okay, Winter Platform with Oddsok, Tatiana090976. Not bad, but we're gonna talk about this back at the hub, and we will see you there. See yas! And we're back, and Winter Platformer with Oddsok from Tatiana090976, and it's an orange diamond, to be perfectly honest. It's not a bad level, it is an actual level. You've got to start, you've got to finish, there is gameplay bringing you from one point to the other. It's not an empty box level, and I do feel that some effort has gone into this level, but there are, I would say, a number of small points that need to be kind of built up and worked on a little bit to make this a richer experience, a more full experience. One of the big issues that I had was that there really isn't any environmental design. There's no kind of presentation in a visual sense of the level. You've got a base material. It's that stone material, and I do like that stone material, and for the most part that is what's making up the majority of the platforms in this level. You've also got some climbable material, but there's nothing done to kind of shape them into an environment. They are just straight rectangular platforms that are floating in space, and that's not always a bad thing, but I always feel that if you've got a level that's very light on visual presentation, then it has to be quite beefy on gameplay, so that the player is not so focused on the visual aspect because there's so much to do in the level, and we really don't have that here. The level is split into two parts. We've got the sack thing section, and then we've got the Oddsok section, both of which are relatively short, and we saw the entire level in the video. It takes about maybe 2.5 minutes, but not too much longer than that. You've got some jumping over platforms we saw in the sack thing section, and those platforms are a little bit, well, not just a little bit, they're really much too close together to present a real challenge in that area. You can skip over a number of those platforms with just a regular jump and still kind of safely make your way across, so there's not a lot of chance that you're gonna die there. You've got a a little bit of climbing, because as we said, we got the wire mesh material for climbability, and again, there's not really a lot there that's going to be challenging to a player. You're very much just moving from the left side to the right side of the level. The oddsok section presents a bit more of a challenge, just in the way that oddsok moves and the fluidity of that movement, especially coming off of the sack thing section previously. One thing that I noticed, and I noticed this quite often in oddsok levels, where there's a built-in assumption that there's going to be a wall jump there, and so the creators will put in bubbles to kind of path your way through the wall jump, but they tend to be a little bit too close, and they don't really map to the way that oddsok jumps. So you end up missing an awful lot of the buttons unless you kind of let yourself drag down the wall a little bit so that you can get the next arc across. A little bit better bubble placement in those areas would allow for a better score chain and a score multiplier going through the level, and make it a little bit easier for players to smoothly increase their score, as opposed to kind of forcing their way to increasing their score. So that was another aspect there. The bit at the end that we saw, and it's actually kind of set up well. There's two things I kind of want to mention. The rotating sponge blocks that we have to bounce across to get to the next section, and I actually think that it's a relatively standard, but it is actually a pretty good and challenging obstacle in an oddsok level, and I really think that could have been built out and expanded on a little bit more. We only see those two bits in the section that we saw, but maybe having a later section with 3 bits or 4 bits to make it a little bit tougher, but still building on something that you kind of taught the player earlier, you know, how they're going to be interacting with this environment, how they're going to interact with the level. But it's a good bit for oddsok, and I think that could have been implemented a little bit more. It could have been added a little bit more. And then we see that section at the very end where you've got a relatively narrow bit where it looks like the expectation is that you're going to jump onto the middle stone, not really a platform, but the middle stone rectangular bit, slide down a little bit, jump over to the left side stone platform, and then kind of do a little hop to the spikes, in between the spikes in the center, and then kind of repeat your path to get over to where the end goal is, where the goal is. I don't know, the words escape me. It's been a long day of recording. The thing is, and as we saw, it's actually far easier to just skip over that section. There's nothing that actually forces you to do that section, because you can easily jump onto the top of the middle stone bit and then completely bypass it. So, one, I think that is a pretty challenging obstacle, but the level of challenge that's presented there is a lot higher than what we've seen so far in the level, with the addition of the spikes and the very narrow pathing that you've got there. So if you really want the players to do something like that, I think building up to that, you know, making a trickier wall jump sections with a little bit of hazard, so that when they go into something that's really quite tricky, like what we saw, that they'll be a little bit better equipped to actually deal with that. And two, if you really want players to interact with that as you've designed that section, then they shouldn't be able to bypass it the way that we did in the video. It needs to be blocked off, or it needs to be taller so that they can't just hop right over it. Because I think that a lot of players are just going to look at that obstacle and say, this is a real pain, and they'll just try to bypass it because that path is there for them to do. And there aren't enough bubbles in the center of it. There's not enough of a prize in the center to actually attract players, I think, to actually grab it. Because what are 3 bubbles? It's like 150 points. That's hardly anything on the scoreboard, so it's just easier to not take the loss in life, which will cost you points, and just skip right over it. If the winter platform with oddsok, it's not a bad level, and it's certainly a short level, and I think that getting more eyes on this level and getting more feedback to Tatiana may help improve when creating levels in the future. So I do encourage all y'all to just at least give it 1 or 2 shots and to leave some feedback for Tatiana so that she knows how she can improve the level and she can improve her creation skills moving on. But I really think that does it for us this go about. So from me, Risco, here in Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you. Arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.